Welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who was a wizard for a short period of time, but he got his past taken away from him when he tried to turn another army into tiny pigs like Bavmorda from Willow, but instead turned the opposing army into a gang of massive boars, which destroyed his army and got him fired. It's John Leavengood.
I feel like I should have gotten a promotion for that.
No, but your army got destroyed because you turned the opposing army into it.
Oh, that's not good.
Because remember on Willow,
was a big misfire.
Remember on Willow when she was like, "You're
all pigs."
Yeah, and then they all turned into pigs. So you walked up all sassy, and you were like, "Y'all pigs," and they turned into massive boars and just wiped out your army. And then you got fired from the Wizarding School of Wizards. But I mean, it was a pretty good trick. You just didn't control it.
Bummer.
You know?
That's too bad.
That's not a bad, that's a pretty good trick, I guess, to do that. You couldn't control your magic. People are like, "Hey, John, can I have a burger?" And you would just have a cow land on them.
That's like when Shredder made Toka and Razor, but they were from baby animals, so they were just very kind in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 2.
Yeah, that's your kind of magic. I need an army of evil sheep, and you just turn like what's that movie in New Zealand? Black Sheep.
Black Sheep.
Yeah, but then you take like little adorable baby sheep and you turn them into mutated sheep, and they're just sweethearts, and everyone's just petting them. And the army gets nothing done because there's just a bunch of
lambs.
Yeah, there's a bunch of adorable lambs running around. What do you think?
Yeah.
What would happen in Willow if Bavmorda accidentally turned all these things into the boars as opposed to pigs?
Dude, her army would have been utterly decimated. Those boars, like our movie boars.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean it would be like unleashing Jurassic Park on that army.
I mean, those doors they had would not stand a chance.
No, these things. These are like this is like a 5,000 or 10,000 pound board. This thing is just gonna dump truck through it.
And they can teleport.
Dude, so much teleporting. This is Jason Voorhees like taking Manhattan teleporting.
So I'm watching this movie, and so all right. So get this, John. During the fall, when leaves have fallen, Megan and I go walk this trail, and squirrels sound like bears, right? Because it's a squirrel trouncing on dry leaves, and it just sounds like a deer running, but it's a tiny squirrel or a chipmunk. This boar can walk through wooded areas with a lot of deadfall and branches and leaves on the ground, and it makes no noises. And it's at least 1,000 pounds, right?
Oh, no. I mean, so this thing I would estimate is like 8,000 or 10,000 pounds.
Whoa. Oh, yeah, it's huge. That's a lot of bacon.
Well, it's a conservative estimate, right, for this movie Boar, because in the movie Pig Hunt, it was a 3,000 pound boar, but it was not nearly as big as this. The guy compared it to a rhino, so I looked up rhino stats, and really bulky rhinos.
Yeah.
And really bulky rhinos, right? Because this boar is actually much thicker around than a rhino is. But the biggest rhinos get to 8,000-9,000 pounds, which is very, very, very unusual, and are like 6 to 7.5 feet at their shoulder. This thing at its shoulder was taller than almost 7 foot tall Nathan Jones.
Yep.
I mean, this could be 15,000 pounds. This thing's gigantic.
And it can sneak up on people.
With amazing skill.
Now, I mean, I love this boar. I was reading a lot of interviews. Chris Sun, the director, was talking about how it took him about 6 months to do this. So they said we first started building the pig in December of 2014 and didn't start shooting until late 2015. With independent films, sometimes you have hurdles to overcome, and unfortunately, we had some major hurdles with this. If not for those hurdles, there would have been two or three more kills in the film. And also he said like it was a pain in the butt, and it took a long time to shoot. He's like, I loved it, but you bring this hog on set, and you plan for a 12-hour day. That 12-hour day turns into 2 days. Those 2 days turn into 6 weeks, and they actually got. It was 3 people inside this boar. Did you read this?
No, I just figured it was a big animatronic Jurassic Park monster.
No, yeah, so they took about 6 months to build it. And, the reason being, the guy hates the beach, the director, Chris Sun. And then he said that Rogue is already a great crocodile movie, and they already have bait. And they're actually much more expensive to do water movies. So he went for the pig. It took 6 months to build. there was 2 pigs that were built, 3 people inside. One of the people worked the head, another person worked the shoulders and did breath, and another one did the breathing and moved the tail. And he said it was about 70% practical, 30% CGI, and it was a really low budget movie.
Yeah, I mean, the CGI, from what I could infer, was only 3 scenes, basically, and it was always when it was running.
Yeah, trucking people.
It runs by the screen once before it teleports way towards the end of the movie, and then when it charges 2 different people, and one of the attacks with the charge. But it's like, whenever the thing is just stationary and attacking someone, or whenever we're just looking at this beast, I thought, like, I can't get over how happy I was about this thing, man. I thought this monster was magnificent. Yeah, is it as sleek as CGI can be? Like, you know, it was a little clunky and clumsy at times when it's snapping its jaw. But this thing made me so happy to see.
I think it had a little bit of Deep Blue Sea effect, where I love the practicals designed in Deep Blue Sea, but some of the CGI is super wonky. I mean, there's about a 90, well, with inflation, probably $100 million difference. But also a funny thing, they said with this pig, if they had to move it 5 feet, they had to get 6 people, put rods into it, or like 8 people to put rods into it and then move it 5 feet. And it became a massive job.
Like you're moving the emperor's throne.
Yeah, exactly. Like in 300 when Xerxes is getting carried and all those people underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting, just reading about the practical effects of this movie. I thought that was cool.
God bless Chris Sun, though, because this monster is awesome.
Now, you've seen his other movies. What's Charlie's Farm or Daddy's Little Girl? What are those movies like?
So I haven't seen Daddy's Little Girl, but I did see Charlie's Farm, which I went out of my way to see just because it stars Nathan Jones, right? And that's like the first mainstream movie, I should say, because he starred in something called Muay Thai Giant ages ago, but most people haven't heard of it. But that was the first movie that Nathan Jones really starred in that was mainstream, Charlie's Farm, if we're calling that mainstream. And he played this kind of like Leatherfacian monstrosity. And that movie, kind of like this movie, gets off to a start where the first 20, 30 minutes you're like, just how B is this movie? And then, though, it kind of hits its crescendo and the action is really high, the brutality is really high, the squishiness and the effects are pretty high, and it ends up being very satisfying. But I will say that Charlie's Farm strikes me as Chris Sun's real introduction to trying to be brutal or gross. And Boar, I feel like he mastered it and his only limitation was budget.
Got it. Now, I have a question for you, John, and it's really unfair and it's kind of lazy, but I'm going to have you rank Bait, Rogue, Boar, and Razorback. Hey, there's a theme. So rate the 4 of them. One is best, 4 is worst. But you like all of them, I'm assuming.
Boar is number 1.
Whoa.
Yeah, for me, Boar is number 1. Now, number 2, I don't know if I could pick between Razorback and Rogue. I don't think, because Rogue benefits from such a superior, it just, I don't know. It feels so refined, Rogue. I love a lot of the shots in Rogue. And the action is way more exciting, their utility of CGI in that, and some physical effects. So if I'm forced to pick, I'm probably going to pick Razorback, but it's just because it's more of a classic-y thing. If they both came out at the same time, I'd tie them. And then Bait, Bait was just okay to me. I don't need to see Bait again. But all the other 3 I liked. And I've got Boar at the top. And if I only even saw Boar because I only saw Razorback because Boar exists. I thought incorrectly when the trailers for this came out like almost 2 years ago, I just assumed this was a remake of Razorback. And so I'm like, well, now I got to go see Razorback first.
That movie. All right, I guess I'm going to do mine real quick. I'm going to go with
Rogue. Is Rogue 1 for you?
Razorback, Rogue, Bait, Boar.
You're putting Boar at the bottom?
But the thing is, I like all of them. It's like saying, hey, I'd rather have a 7.5 ounce filet mignon than a 6.2 ounce filet mignon. Does that make sense?
But Yeah. But to the point of our Australian animals functioning as monsters movies, you quite liked Bait.
Yes.
For me, it was fun. But
I love the idea of it. It was $20 million, but I love how economical it was, just placing people inside a flooded area with sharks. But I love shark movies, much like you love boar movies. So I really liked the boars. I like that. You know what I really liked about Boar and Rogue is that a lot of people survive in these films. At the end of Boar, there's a fair amount of survivors. At the end of Bait, there's a fair amount of survivors. Rogue, no. But
we'll get to it. But at the end of Boar, they pulled a fast one on us, and it should have been 2 fewer survivors.
They pulled a vacancy when Luke Wilson was gutted from he was gutted with a 12-inch knife and through his entire stomach, bled out all night. Then in the morning just went,
they pulled a vacancy.
I mean, obviously, I guess in the movie, in this world, we either bleed slower. In the world of Boar and Vacancy, people probably bleed slower, or arteries heal quicker, or they have more blood.
They heal like the lichens in Underworld.
But no, I mean, so Boar, right? I guess for me, this movie, it's supposed to be about what Nathan Jones and I don't like seeing Bill Moseley look normal, by the way. Seeing Bill Moseley as Bruce, a normal fella, it's just weirded me out.
What's really odd about that is that I have seen him on social media, when he's at conventions and stuff, and he looks exactly like himself, right? In this movie. It's like, hey, just show up and dress like you're a boring dad with a cell phone holster on your hip kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so he looks exactly like you would look if you see people posting pictures at a horror con when they took a picture with him. I did not realize that was him until 30 minutes into the movie.
Oh, wow.
Because again, I'm just like, where's Bill? There was one point where I even said, where's Bill Moseley? Oh my God, that's Bill Moseley. I didn't even realize it.
And he wanted to eat the butt out of a low-flying duck.
You're right. But the crotch. That was such a weird quote.
Yeah. And I guess they're supposed to be the main stars, but in the beginning you have those people in the truck, and then there's about 30 minutes of John Jarrett, Jarrett, I don't know, I'm not quite sure of his name, him and his buddy walking around a field calling each other mate and being drunk.
Right.
And then you have this couple that gets killed pretty quickly. Then you have another couple who for some reason went out and got lost in the woods, and then he screams. I think my favorite part of this movie is these two people are in the woods, and they're being hunted. And we're going to get our PG-13 rating here, but this guy looks at his wife, and he goes, "Would you shut the fuck up?" And then she looks at him, and she's like, "That was really rude." And he's like, "Yeah, my bad." And I'm like, "What?" And then they get killed, and then we switch to the A plot. So it's it's just interesting how the movie... It's like vignettes, I guess, this film.
Well, it's like early Game of Thrones. You start seeing 5 minutes or 10 minutes of someone's story, then you jump to someone else's unrelated story, and someone else's unrelated story, and eventually we find out how they're related.
Yeah. It was just
which is giving it a little too much credit, I think, though, because the first 30 minutes of this movie honestly had me very, very, very worried. Because the first kill... these people just driving down the road, you don't see anything happen.
Nothing. Right?
You see nothing, which for the first kill of a movie, that's often where you set a standard and give a gory scene, because then it's going to be slow for 30 minutes after that, right? But this movie didn't do that. It's like, well, you just know that they died. And then the second death, then it started to try a little harder, but it was a little hokey and not much interesting happens on screen. It's not until the third death, the couple where the guy snaps at his wife and then apologizes, that you really see something on screen that is truly exciting happen. And then you see the monster more than just its head. And at that point, I'm like, okay, good. This isn't a mistake.
What did you think about, so the second, or I guess the third death, because there's that couple. But there's this guy and his dog disappears, dog's Whiskey, and this guy just starts walking through the Australian, not quite the outback, but he starts walking through open fields. They're using tubes of death, so much smoke, we talk about under Strangers Pray at Night and Sleepy Hollow Pods. A lot of smoke, and then it's just a guy yelling at a dog who's off screen. He's going, "Whiskey!" Whiskey, get back here, Whiskey! And then he gets killed.
I'm sorry, and I forgot that death, but that was one of the deaths earlier on that had me worried about this movie too, because you don't see anything really happen with him. You just see the head hover above him.
Yeah, and then you just keep hearing about Whiskey, and you're like, is Whiskey okay?
Yeah, no, we heard a that dog's dead.
How did the boar catch Whiskey?
Because if Whiskey didn't see the boar is super fast and sneaky. That's a rule.
Yep,
this pig is inversely as fast as you are aware of the pig. So if you see it, it's just like a big, clunky, runny pig. If it's right next to you and you see it, it's super clumsy and it has no dexterity whatsoever. If it is not near you and you don't see it, that thing is lightning fast. It is like Quicksilver.
You need to. It's like a Weeping Angel from Doctor Who. Do you ever watch that show? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know. Yes. It is Jason Voorhees and Jason Takes Manhattan.
And all right. I'm skipping ahead, man. But I gotta tell you, my favorite kill in this movie is what happens to Mosley when his stepdaughter's boyfriend just pushes him down.
Dude, that kid was so disrespectful. I'm calling him a kid. I guess he's like 20
that
or
was
22.
Weird, the conversations they were having in the house and stuff. He was being very aggressive on that daughter.
Even in the car he was rude, right? And in the openings when we first meet him all in the car. And then he's always a little rude in general. No one's calling anything out on this, but Bill Moseley dad is a bit, passive. Bill Moseley has this really odd talk with him about taking care of his stepdaughter. And then when they see this boar, the kid goes full on purge. He pulls a purge.
Yep. He just pushes him. Moseley gets pushed.
They see. What's funny too is that they see this huge boar monster, right? And it is monstrous. It's not just big. It's not like when you see like a bison or something. No, this thing looks like it came out of hellfire.
A rhino.
And they're looking at, and Bill Moseley is just like, would you look at that? He almost has a smile. It reminded me of when Sam Neill first saw dinosaurs in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, the brontosauruses.
Yeah, it's like this dumbfounded, kind of stunned, kind of smiling look. He's like, would you, God, do you see that thing? Look, he even slowly steps towards it. Really, there's no sense that this is dangerous. The kid looks nervous as hell. He even starts to step towards Bill Moseley and then steps back again while he's behind him and then steps forward again. And then eventually, he pushes him purge style and runs. And I was like, you son of a bitch! Yeah. I was so upset. And then you would assume when this happens, by the rules of common decency in horror films, you would assume that the pig is actually going to run past Bill Moseley, knock him, hurt him badly, or you think he gets trampled to death, but he's really okay. And then it goes and gets the asshole. But that's not what happens.
He gets decapitated.
Dude, that thing is shit. This is one of the CGI things. That thing grabs Bill Moseley. And remember when Thor was slamming Loki back and forth?
Yeah.
It made me think of that. Just slamming him back. And the CGI for this, if you really pay attention, is really bad, especially the Bill Moseley body. But I still loved the scene anyway.
Because it's just so unexpected. And then later on, I love the movie rule of the guy. So the boyfriend, his name is Robert. He's standing in an open field, and everyone's looking at him, but no one mentions the boar that's sprinting at him. And then they assume so the boar must have been running at him for a while because it came at him.
There must have been 1,000-foot radius of not even a tree around him.
Yep. And the people didn't see the boar right up until it hit him. They were just
thing. It's the size of a van.
And he got trucked.
So big. If that thing was running, I swear they would feel the ground shaking, even if they were blind and deaf. They would have felt the ground shaking and known something was wrong.
Yep. They and then it just trucks him. So bye-bye, Robert.
It's almost like the kid didn't see him because it wasn't in the camera frame.
Yeah. Well, like you said, he wasn't looking at it, right? So that's how fast he is. So maybe he flew that distance in 1 second and no one could respond.
Dude, that thing was going 160 miles an hour.
Oh, that's funny. And then he stopped on a dime.
It almost makes me think of when someone's falling from a building and when they're 10 feet from the ground, all of a sudden, whoosh, Superman just whips by and grabs him out of nowhere. It was just like that, but with death.
Now, I have another question for you. How fun would it be to hang out in that pub? It's well stocked.
Oh,
It's well stocked, isn't it?
it's well stocked. It's got a congenial. Well, I mean, they're out in some little outback town. I mean, I'll bet those people that we see there are 80% of the patronage.
Yep. But do you see how much beer
that.
was in the fridge?
Yeah, no, it had loads of. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that when I really start thinking about the economics of it.
And then I love the part where he's like, I need some beer. And she gives him a case of bitter, some beer. And then she just drops 2 sandwiches and some chocolate. I'm like, I want to go hang out in the outback and drink beer and eat chocolate and sandwiches with those guys.
Well, and she was being extra nice, though, right? Because her dad was John Jarrett.
Yeah, and then that one lady was like, I'm going to go get me some of that.
Yeah. No, there was a lot. You know what? It wasn't to the same writing or performance level, but it reminded me of how familiar and lived in all the characters felt like in the pub and Grabbers when you first meet them.
Oh no, he does a good job capturing that. It doesn't feel fake. No. It feels lived in. So for me, I kind of enjoyed the hanging out moments a lot. Just not with the core family. I'd rather just, and then the guy from Razorback is telling stories about boars, and they're all listening to it.
Yeah, and John Jarrett and his buddy, I can't think of the guy's name, but yeah, so when they were out camping and everything, before they investigated the campsite and saw those flesh-stripped bodies, but they were chatting along. Like I could just watch these guys be an R-rated, like country Aussie odd couple.
I feel like they had to have improv a lot of that, right?
Part of me wonders, like, if those two guys, I mean, they're both Australian actors who've been around a long time. Like, are they just buddies? Did they just actually get buzzed and come on the set and just, like, think about it. It's almost like if I was being cranky and you're like, come on, John, let's just go for it. No, I'm not. Let's take the car. It's like, get off your bloody ass and let's, it's like, it was just so, it felt so real. It's so weird to be focusing on that in this movie. But yeah, I agree. The character moments wonderful.
Yeah, and they're yelling at each other. They're saying mean stuff, but they're just going to go hang out tomorrow. And I like that John Jarrett was getting more work. I guess we could call his character name, but whatever. Ken's getting, yeah. I like that he's getting a lot of work because the boar's destroying all the fences. So, the boar helped the local economy.
Right, I'm sure. Well, I mean, in wartime, the economy does well. So yeah, this was their little miniature version of that. Like, some livestock was dying, some fences are going down. It was the drought too. Something that they never really go out of their way to focus on in this, and it makes sense biologically. If there was some drought, it makes that's when like a predator or any large foraging animal is going to have to, widen its foraging radius, if you will, yep. and find new areas for food. But I wonder, I'd love to ask the director this, right? Like, was this meant to be a global warming statement, or was just meant to be like, yeah, you're out in the middle of nowhere and every now and then there's a drought and, times are tough on planet Earth regardless of global warming. Sometimes this happens, but was this meant to be a very subtle global warming jab that the animals are turning on us? That's
interesting. I read a bunch of interviews and I never caught that from him, but I like, what did she say? How are you going to find him? You're on like a million acre thing. So maybe I guess the boar was at the outskirts. That's a good point. So it just started coming in because of the drought.
Yeah, the guy at the bar telling the story about how he had seen the thing and just didn't have a camera to take the phone. Didn't have a phone with a camera.
Yeah, or a phone.
Right, which was a cute little character aside where you're just learning about his technological issues. It's like, yeah, if I had a phone with a camera, I'd take a picture of it with the camera, but I don't have that kind of phone, so I didn't take a picture. It's like, well, duh. But yeah, he was even saying, like, this has been going on for a month. I saw the thing that's doing it. So this has been going on for a bit. So this thing could have covered some ground.
Another interesting thing about this movie. So we just did a podcast about the Friday the 13th remake, and I'm writing an article about Jason teleporting again. But in that movie, you have a bunch of young campers. In this one, there were some older campers. I'm not used to seeing older campers in movies getting killed. Does that make sense?
Well, And of course, even Ken and Bill were camping.
Yeah.
Just because it would be fun.
Yeah. Okay, let's just go out and camp. But
We're just camping out to get some beer.
But I'm not used to older campers in creature features or older movies. You know what I mean?
But yeah, what do you think they were, those two victim couples? Like at least 30. The younger couple in the tent that died, and then the other couple was 30s. That dude could have been 40.
Yeah, that guy was in his 40s. Maybe he had a younger girlfriend. But they seem to have been together for a long time because they had a pretty interesting. Like, he yelled at her, and she's like, I don't like that. He's like, yeah, my bad. So they have a lived-in thing there. Wait, and that woman got gored through the head, and then she lived, and she had a joke.
Dude, yeah,
she had a Joker mouth.
We totally forgot that, because at first I was thinking, like, is that one of those things like in Fight Club where he shoots under the jaw and it comes out as well? No, that one came from behind, and the whole tusk was coming through her mouth. So that went, like, that would have ruptured vertebrae, like, dead.
Her spine,
but either way,
her spine was destroyed.
So when it picked her up and worried her, like, again, I loved that. It was a little clunky, but just seeing the limbs flail around and that big practical monster just shaking her body, I loved it.
So I made a joke on Movies on the Flicks Facebook the other day. I saw this movie for the first time by Bloody Disgusting. I think they put the trailer up, so it was gonna be on Shudder. And I said this movie was designed for John Leavengood. Is that true?
Well, I mean, you know how excited I got when I saw the trailer. So here's how you know this was made for me. One, Nathan Jones. Okay, I love Nathan Jones. I loved him as a bad guy briefly in The Protector. I love. I was so, not that I wasn't going to see Fury Road anyway, but I would have saw it just for him if I hated Mad Max. Like, I love him and everything he does. I bought Charlie's Farm just because he's in it. So there's that factor, right? And then this is just a big, cool monster movie, and the trailer was suggestive of practical effects because you see, like, it's drippy, just blood and slobber soaked lower jaw in the original teaser trailer, and I'm like, oh god, is this not CGI? I'm all over that. And then since 2017, when I first saw the trailer, I bought Razorback, I bought Chaw, which is a Korean Razorback basically, and I bought Pig Hunt. I bought every killer giant boar movie I could find.
What's the best of this? What's the best of the lot of those four? Or do they all have their own unique charms?
Probably this, but no one is truly copying any other. I thought Pig Hunt was the worst movie, but had some of the best gore with its practical creature effects as well. But it was a one-trick pony. It was all the last 20 minutes. So, like, the first hour, you're just like, why am I even here?
It was like it was like Primeval, you only see the alligator at the very end. You know what I mean?
Right, but on top of that, though, Primeval, though, at least had a cast and competent performances, whereas Pig Hunt absolutely did not. The writing was just like, hey, let's just buy this porno script and reappropriate it as a giant killer pig movie. Like, it was so dry. It was like walking people off the street and having them be actors in one take. But either way, they were all cool, though. Like, there's a lot of love out there for Chaw because it's got that very dry Korean dark comedy.
Oh, I just saw it's streaming right. I'm going to watch it. It's streaming on Tubi right now. So TUBITV.com. It's streaming for free there. So I'm going to put that on. I love some Korean carnage.
But if any out of Boar, Chaw, and Pig Hunt, the only one that really seems to be echoing the plot points of Razorback is Chaw. Pig Hunt, totally its own movie. This, totally its own movie.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, this is its own beast as well. And we have something to talk about. But how much research have you done into Nathan Jones' life? He's had a fascinating life. Have you read about him?
Other than the fact that he kind of started out as a wrestler, I don't know anything about him.
So from 16 to 18, he was a bank robber, and he was the number one most wanted person in Australia for a while, and then he got arrested, and he went to jail for 7 years. And during that time, he learned about becoming a strong man, and so he started working out a lot in prison, and then he entered the strongman world in Australia, and so he did a lot of those competitions. And then he started with lower wrestling tier wrestling promotions, and he got brought into WWE. He was supposed to make his introduction in a WrestleMania match, but he got pulled, and he ended up going and helping at the end of it. So what happened was after that, the WWE sent him to go train more, and then he came back 6 months later and did some wrestling, but then he quit because he said the rigors of his life, it was just too stressful for him, and then he started going into film. And I don't know if you are a big fan of old school MMA, but I used to love Pride. That was over in Japan, and
Right.
he fought in Pride 1, and he got submitted. And I remember I had the DVD, and I remember seeing, so because I couldn't watch them, I had to watch the DVDs, and I put this fight in. There's a 7 foot tall, massive guy, and he fought this Japanese dude that was much smaller than him, and the Japanese dude tapped him out. And I just thought, what did I just see? Like, how did this guy lose? But then he started popping up in movies, and he's really turned his life around, and now he's doing really well. And they said he was supposed to wrestle for TNA, Total Nonstop Wrestling. Yeah, I think that's what it was called. And he got hit by a cement truck, and injuries from that kept him from going into the wrestling with Jeff Jarrett. In that, like, they had the 5-sided, 6-sided ring, so he didn't do that, and now he's just acting in movies.
Wait, so can we just touch on this bank robbing thing? Let's just say that you had the perfect formula for being a bank robber, right? The ex-presidents from Point Break.
Yeah.
You're in and out in 90 seconds. You never go for the vault. You always have the mask. You change out the car, all this stuff. And then one day he finds himself in a lineup, and someone say, "How am I going to recognize him?" They're all, "Oh, that's him. It's the 400-pound guy. It's him right there." It's like, no one, like, you can never get taken in if you have those dimensions. He's like 6'9" or 6'11", and I think at his peak mass, like, if you look him up, they just list the biggest he ever was. They say like 360 or 390, whereas now he's probably like 330 or 340. But he was so huge. He's so big. Like, yeah. It's terrible to be a criminal. Escape car. Well, we're going to need something pretty big for the getaway car. Like, unless he's going to Flintstones that thing.
And then, yeah, he spent 7 years in jail. And he fought Koji Kitao, one of those names. I just want to make sure I got his name right. And also, I know this is bad, but he was voted most embarrassing wrestler in 2003. But a lot of big name wrestlers have gotten that, so he shouldn't feel totally bad about it. But he's had an interesting life, man.
And of course, his highlight is Troy, even though it was just a little bit part.
I mean, if we had to put together, we've done it before, 60-second characters. Great podcast. You should listen to it. If you put together characters who had a long-lasting impact with a few seconds of screen time, it's definitely Bulgarius, right? Isn't it Bulgarius is his name?
Boagrius. Yeah.
Bulgarian. Balagrius. I mean, he did a lot with minimal screen time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. I love that scene so much. And he's just, that was him at peak size.
Oh, yeah, that was because that was what, 2004, maybe? 2005?
Yeah.
So
it was against Brad Pitt at peak size, which looked like a peanut next to him.
Yeah, he was huge. So I guess this was after his stint in WWE. So then he was able to, because when he was on the road, you probably couldn't work out that much. So he probably bulked back up after WWE and just got jacked for that role. And then it led to what, The Condemned and Protector. He's been a heavy in some good movies.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, how about this? Let's take a break. Let's me and you recreate the scene from Troy, and we'll be right back to talk more Boar. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks, and we got to talk Nathan Jones, John. We got to talk about his introduction in this movie, and you made a great point about it before we started potting. I want to hear about it some more.
Yeah, it's so funny too. Like, you reviewed, like, he was a bank robber, he was the wrestler, he's always the bad guy. Before this movie, he was that mutant inbred hillbilly, brutal murderer in Charlie's Farm. When we first meet him, he's playing around on the ground, frolicking with baby animals. It's like the director saying, it's like, hey, he's a nice, good guy in this audience, just so you know.
It's like, were you worried about those little lambs? Were you worried that he was just going to snap one of their necks?
Part of me wondered if he wasn't going to pull a Pet Cemetery too and gut one of them in 5 minutes for them to eat.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I got some veal for us.
And then in this movie, he does a lot of nice things. Yep. But we see him, before he ever meets this Boar, singing Ice, Ice, Baby in the car and he is so emphatic and smiling, and that was like one of my happiest movie moments of the year.
Now I want to see him and Everybody Wants Some singing with the guys in that car.
Yeah, exactly. Like his face, like he was having such a blast.
He looks right
Nathan
at the camera.
Jones, the actor.
He looks directly at the camera. I loved it.
It was like he was deliberately breaking fourth wall for fun.
Yeah. Yeah, just like, yeah, you could tell that he liked being the, you know, it's also, there's a scene in this movie though, where he's just picking up a kid and slamming him into a lake.
Yep.
I felt bad for that kid. That's a long way to fall.
Kid might have been having fun. I don't know. But yeah, it might have felt like a belly flop.
And then he kind of went after poor Bill Moseley pretty bad, though. He was kind of a jerk to him.
Yeah, he scared him.
Yeah. Because he called him Burn, right?
Burn.
Yeah, he goes, "It's Bernie, mate." And then he stares him down. And then they're like, "Hey, why don't you take Bruce with you?" And he's like, "No, Bruce, you stay and protect the family." He's very... Bernie does not like Bruce as a man. He puts up with him, but I don't think he respects him.
We do know that Bruce is on his third marriage, and that might be that's a big point of contention in this movie too, even with Rob.
Yeah, that was interesting how they kept bringing that up, but they spend so little time with these characters to make like the third marriage. Like that's an interesting character piece for a guy who gets pushed in front of a boar then decapitated.
Yeah. Like, I think it just should have been a second marriage, and all that skepticism would have been fine. But they made it as the third. They pushed it a little too far.
Because he seems like a good dude, right? Or maybe
he does. He seems like a very good dude. Like, well, I don't even know why he got divorced twice.
So if you have this, it's like Larry Crown. But so you have this scene where you have this middle part where they're gone. I guess if John Jarrett and the other guy weren't in there in the campers, and you spent more time with these characters, then sure, third marriage. But to spend as little bit of time with them and to put them on that, I guess, and then they totally forget about him. At the end, they're all smiling. Like, whatever. He was kind of a, what did they say on, Hot Shots Part 2 when Rowan Atkinson falls off the cliff? And Charlie Sheen, Charlie Sheen is like, he really was a wiener or something like that. So I guess no one misses poor Bruce when he dies.
Poor dude, he got purged.
Yeah, he did. He got
really badly.
And also the director made a point saying in this movie Nathan Jones runs. He made a big deal about Nathan Jones running because that's a lot of work on those knees.
It's a big dude.
I mean that's yeah. He doesn't do many wind sprints.
Probably not. Well, it looked like a fast jog. Well, so that jogging comes right after he meets our boar, right? Because he's singing "Ice Ice Baby." And the only reason we don't get to hear him sing that entire, we hear 2 full verses, by the way, folks, and it does a whole verse and then it cuts and then he does a whole nother verse and the boar teleports out of nowhere, but he was in a little hill country in that case. So maybe he just came over a hill and he's singing and it just, again, like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. I keep thinking of Jurassic Park. It knocks over and flips his truck.
Yep. Like nothing.
And then it just goes on about its business, right? Because he gets out and it's not there. And then he's just running back like, holy crap, I gotta, go check the family.
So this boar must have made a really game time split-second decision. Because he just saw it. Because he couldn't have seen it, just saw it. It wasn't stalking it because he came at it from it like he T-boned it. So the boar just sort of knocked it over, then kept going. He's just a jerk, this boar.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I feel like that should have hurt the boar, but movies usually don't address things like that.
Oh, what's interesting is the side of the boar is all tore up. So in certain interviews, people were asking, is this boar a zombie? And he just said, no, this boar uses that side to, I guess boars use one of their sides to scratch along stuff. And I guess this boar just, through its many battles and running and all this stuff, scratched one side of its body wide open. So that's why it was all gross and gangly, because it used that side as a battering ram.
I had a similar thought, but even its tail, though, you can see the vertebrae of its tail. Like, what is this thing fighting that happened? And and it's got a dead eye, and it's got, and a lot of the wounds that we see on it are like, when we first see it, they almost strike me as like open wounds. not old scars.
It ran through, like, it was knocking fences. Maybe it got some, barbed wire trapped on it. Maybe it's probably so used to open land that's not, used to fencing. And barbed wire would rip you up pretty good.
It's just a mean son of a bitch is what it is.
That's right, a jerk. Now,
and every time it opens its mouth, because we usually see it after it's killed someone, it is just like such a slop splattering, like slobber blood pool. Like, it's like if like a really shaggy dog just drank red corn syrup, and just all those little tendrils of clumped hair just soaked in blood. And then you imagine the thing wobbling its head. Like, God, I love this monster.
Oh, so the director said it's his smashing side. That's why it's like that.
Smashing side.
Yeah, and then also there's two things I want to talk about. So I have in all caps in red, Nathan Jones stabs and fistfights a boar. Then I have the boar blocked a shovel attack. Then I have, it's like an Evil Dead-esque type fight scene because Nathan Jones is just getting flung everywhere. Like purposely, comedically, if that makes sense. It's comedic on purpose.
When he like jumps on its head as he's getting impaled, and it's just shaking him up and down like a bucking bronco, but just the head. And
he impales himself, doesn't he? Doesn't he kind of impale himself?
I couldn't. It looked like that, but I feel like that's just like the cheaper budgeted movie aspect where you just run into it.
Yeah, and I mean the director said when you had to move this boar, and also Nathan Jones punched the eye out of it, so then they had to fix it. They said they they had two boars, one that he could beat up and one that he couldn't. And also he runs at the boar with a shovel. And he never swings it.
He goes at it with the flat end too, though.
And he never really. The boar does sweeps the leg.
Cobra Kai's him?
Yeah, while not moving, and just sweeps his leg and knocks him on the ground. And he gets his ribs are turned to jelly, correct?
Well, I mean, he got impaled there.
Yeah.
Like he even goes to move it. Like that flap of skin, whether or not there were ribs detached or something. That was a gnarly moment.
Yeah. His ribs are done, correct?
Half of them, at least. One side. You could just throw that on a grill. Just cut it off of him.
Ribs on the bobby.
But he's punching it. And as hokey as this was, I loved it. Yeah. I did. And not just because it was Nathan Jones. It's because still they so commit to the movement of the boar. And even though the boar has no accuracy, it's just snapping its mouth in a ridiculous way. I love all the snapping and twitching, even when the boar isn't fighting. Like when Bill Moseley, Bruce, first sees the thing, it twitches its ear, it twitches its head, it snarls a little bit. I love that it's like every opportunity that you see this thing's head, it's doing something. Oh, it's not just sitting there.
This is a beautifully built boar. I mean, practical effects wise, I love it. I love it. And then how do you feel about its death at the end when the car smashes into it?
So I thought that was kind of what I would call the director pulling a fast one. Yeah. Because they got slowly cornered. The two women, the mother and the daughter, get cornered to this area. And as they're getting cornered, Sasha, who is out looking for Bill and Ken, is high speed, comes over a ledge, right, and crashes into the boy. She wouldn't have even seen it. So it's like that was just like pulling a fast one for a fun scene, right? And then we think it's dead. Oh, it's 2 shots. We're gonna shoot out its eye. Did you notice that the side that they shot the eye, they shot the already dead eye?
Oh, I did not notice that.
That was the eye that was already dead. And so when it got up at the end and wasn't dead, I'm like, well, it still has one good eye for the sequel.
It made a noise. It's going to be really sore, this boar.
Well, and also the side with the bad eye was the same side that we saw that had all those wounds on the side. And that is the same exact side that got hit by the car where we saw the open ribs. So in other words, it was the bad side that got all the hits at the end.
Wow.
Which is funny because it was CGI at that point. So it's not like you're doing that to save money.
Yeah. So
that was CGI.
It's bad side just keeps taking beatings.
But so I'm just thinking like, it might have a little limp or something, but for Boar 2, hint, hint, director Chris Sun, for Boar 2. And then at the end, the other fast one they pull, well, not a fast, the fast one they pull, the boar being alive wasn't a fast one. We just saw it get up.
Yeah.
Right. But then Nathan Jones found the little boy who was dragged away and somehow is now totally fine. And they're like, look, everybody's happy and together again, except for Bruce and Rob. But
yeah. Now, did the boar just drag the kid away and said, okay, see you later?
Yeah, like that doesn't make sense. That's such a fast one. That's a fast one.
But this movie, though, I still think, I guess it's still, it works though because it knows what it is, right? Is that, so I kind of didn't mind that at the end. I guess I didn't because I just thought, this guy knows what he's doing, this director. Does that make sense?
I was a little annoyed, but the fact that if the boy and Nathan, if I've got to have the boy come back to have Nathan Jones come back, I accept it. Because that way Nathan Jones can be in the sequel.
Yeah, and he'll improve upon his boar fighting.
So, and I gotta wonder too, thinking of a sequel, hint, hint, again, Chris Sun, I'm sure you're listening to our podcast. All those other boars that were running around the countryside with the big boar, or, that we see a couple times anyway. Like, once they're running from it and it gores one of them, right? Maybe it was hungry, though, and it was suffering, and that's why it was turning on its own kind or something, if they're the same species. But then we see them at the campsite feeding on the campers, and they come along, too. Now, is that because they're feeding as, like, a pride, as a family, or is that just because the big one killed something, and, like, when the lion kills something, then the hyenas come and feast? Like, are they a family unit? Are they offspring? Is it a herd that it leads? Like, I wanted to know a little more about that, actually.
Yeah, what are the dynamics of these things? Because also in Razorback, that thing hangs out with the boars, too. Mm-hmm. So I guess they're just hanging out. And, well, you know those movies where there's the big henchman and everyone hangs out with him, but then occasionally he just gets mad and kills one of the people?
Right.
It's probably just something like that.
Or just, again, like some kind of alpha male-esque thing if boars do anything like that.
But don't Razorbacks cannibalize their young, as we've heard in Razorback? Or Razorbacks cannibalize their young?
So I don't know if that's accurate or not, but when it comes to a wild boar, I wouldn't actually be surprised to hear that.
So, I mean, it's a big thing who's hungry.
But, like, if those were its young, though, then there's going to be, in, like, a few years, there's going to be, like, 10 boars that size. And so then, instead of Nathan Jones being like Sigourney Weaver in Alien, he's in the next movie going to be like Sigourney Weaver in Aliens, being like, you guys don't understand. I've seen one of these things, and now there's 8 of them. Leading
a bunch of Marines at night.
And he's going to have a curly-haired wig, like Sigourney Weaver.
Like Scott Adkins from Triple Threat.
Like, yeah, a Blanco wig.
Now, I love Triple Threat, but that's the worst wig of 2019.
That was especially it made it even worse when he had the cigar in his mouth, because it made me think of a cartoon. If you had one of those exploding cigars, like what your hair would look like afterwards. And he was covered in like dirt and soot already, so it really looked like he suffered an exploding cigar gag, but he's like some Dragon Ball Super Saiyan, so it didn't hurt him. But he still looks all disheveled. When
I saw that part in the movie, I went, oh no.
Right.
And then it got better.
You worry about the integrity of the whole movie when you see something like that.
I went, oh gosh. And then it gets better. So I was like, okay, good. I was really worried. Now, hey, we can talk about the movie more, but we have a ton of questions, don't we?
We do.
All right. Want to get into those?
All right. Am I taking them? Am I reading these off?
Go for it.
We have got Zane from Pennsylvania. Zane, filmmaker, by the way. He did 1031, which was a horror movie that came out a couple years ago, and I think he finished 1031 Part 2.
Nice.
These 80s horror homages. So Zane asks, who would win in a fight, the boar from Razorback or the crocodile from Rogue?
Rogue.
I don't know how you do this.
I see it as like a Serengeti type thing where the boar comes up, Razorback comes up to drink. Because that crocodile dude is the name. What was the name of it in Rogue? I should have learned this. But
I don't remember.
Yeah, that thing was gigantic, right? I mean, and it's not going to be pierced even if it was on land, I think it would defeat the Razorback. But that Razorback
charged.
But that Razorback though can carry an entire home with it. Remember that scene in Razorback where it rips off the side of the house and runs with it?
Yeah. And it got sufficiently less tough at the end of the movie though.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
And smaller. So I'm going rogue. I'm going rogue crocodile.
Yeah, that's right. Also, this is the Razorback boar, which was more like a 3,000 or 4,000 pound boar, not like a 10,000 pound boar. So yeah, at first I was thinking like, is this near water? Maybe rogue. Is it in water? Of course, rogue. If it's out in the open, I was thinking the boar, but I was thinking of the boar from Boar.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about the size where that thing could eat the boar from Razorback. So yeah. It's got to be rogue. Be rogue. I agree.
Yeah, I think you're right. If it was Boar, then we could have a different conversation. But Razorback, he does fluctuate too much, he or she. So I like it.
And also, the Boar from Razorback can't run 160 miles an hour when it charges. That thing tops out at like 30, probably, and very briefly, like a cheetah.
Yeah.
Mark, am I including your questions because you came up with some questions?
Yeah, of course.
So Mark, our host, asks. Could Crawl, that's Pauly Shore from Son-in-Law, tame the boar? Of course you have an idea when you asked this.
So here's what I'm thinking. In Son-in-Law, he goes home to actually they call him like Crap and Cramp and Crud. But in that movie, Crotch. No, Crawl. They keep messing with him by letting these pigs out and the pigs wipe him out. But then he immediately, on the second try, learns how to ride pigs like they're nothing. Big pig, ride it, easy. Natural knack. So Boar. Now I'm also looking at Son-in-Law, or I'm sorry, Encino Man about his engineering skills. I'm looking at In the Army Now with his smarts. I think Crawl could totally get on the back of the boar and ride it. I do. I think I could see a world where the thing's running 160 yards and Crawl's just on the back going, whoa! So yeah, I think he could tame the boar with his wheeze.
If this is PG or PG-13, I'm 100% with you. He could be best buds with this thing by the end of the movie and riding it like a hippie flower cult leader.
Yep.
If this is rated R, if he were to win, he'd be winning like the stoner in the cabin in the woods, covered in blood, beaten up, left for dead, but somehow he pulls it through and kills that boar.
Yeah, I think he somehow rides the boar into an explosives and then dives off. And then the thing blows up and everyone thinks Crotch is dead. I mean, Crap. Cramp. Crud.
Eat the crotch out of a low-flying duck.
And,
Crotch.
Yeah. And he's just bloody, like you said, bloodied up. But I know this sounds insane and people are shaking their heads, but I just see it. I see it clearly in my head, John. I can't shake it. And you know me, I go with my feelings on listener questions that I ask myself.
Okay, so Dylan, Dirty D from Australia asks, what's the proper format that should be used to consume killer monster pig? Bacon? Sausages? Pork chops?
Okay, it would have to be, I mean, there's so much. You would have...
You're feeding that whole town.
Yeah. So you got to get it back quick, too. So...
Field dressing that thing is going to be a mess.
Yeah, and you're going to lose a lot of meat. Because I've watched...
When you pierce that abdomen enough to start gutting it, it's going to be like one of those like comedy movies where they puncture the above ground pool.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't pop the kidney. That'd be so gross. I mean, they're going to have to get big slabs of what they got, freeze it. So I'm thinking probably pork chops, like bigger slabs, because you're in the middle of nowhere. You can't get a car there, and it's very hot out there in the outback. So, right? Would you even want to eat that meat?
You're being very practical about it. I'm suddenly finding this undesirable. Like in my head, I'm just thinking, like it's everything. Like one of those like big like Argentine grills that's like
Ah.
like 6 feet deep by 12 feet long. And it's like, here's a section of 3 feet by 6 feet of sausages. And here's a section of 3 feet of 6 feet of like loins. And here's 3 feet of 6 feet of sausages again. And 3 feet by 6 feet of pork chop, tomahawk looking things. Like, I'm thinking of that. Or to keep it a little more primal, right? And the impracticality of field dressing, I think of it like some kind of Conan thing, where like you cut out its heart and take a bite out of it to gain the power of your enemy.
Oh, I'd gain that. I saw it.
Yeah, it would be disgusting though.
I saw it as Waterworld, where he kills a gigantic prehistoric monster, and they just take 2 slabs of meat from it.
Right, take like 5 pounds out of the thing.
The thing is just rotting. I mean, it'll do great on the bottom of the ocean because you know many animals will feed off of it. I mean, that's like an ecosystem.
Those crabs are gonna have a field day down there.
Yeah, and those huge sharks from planet Earth too. I mean, that's its own ecosystem in itself. So I mean,
yeah,
the carcass will be taken care of. So I guess I'm not too worried about waste. But you're not gonna be able to get that much meat from that gross pig. I'm just saying a couple chops.
Yeah, like if that thing died within a mile of town, it's one thing, right? You just go get the like your sports team canopies and you just set it up right over there.
Yeah, bring some ice, bring
Someone's
some grills.
digging a pit for coal.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
bury a big chunk of it with the coal, like a pig roast, like a Cuban pig roast.
Oh, that'd be nice.
So you had a question well, I mean, it was a great one. You said who wins, the screaming bear from Annihilation or the boar? And when you asked that, first off, the first thing that pops in my head is the scream of that bear from Annihilation, which was the most jarring thing in that weird-ass movie.
You know how many people use the word terrifying? I think it's an easy word, and I'm not jumping on people for doing that. But without hyperbole, when I saw and heard that bear, it was terrifying.
It opens its skull-like bear mouth and releases a human scream.
Yeah.
Like, that is... It's nothing Lovecraftian about it, really, in a way, but at the same time, it's everything Lovecraftian. It is just some indescribably wrong thing.
We've seen a lot of horror movies, and I think that's why it really hit me hard, John, is because it's wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't get scared much in films. I don't get off-put. I mean, mostly Korean movies do that to me, like Thirst and...
Everything that we've seen, though, we've seen 4 or 5 times already. It's just now seeing it in new, innovative, inspired, clever, or storytelling ways. But it's like we've usually seen these things before. This we haven't seen.
All that being said, the boar just 160 miles it.
Well, what if it sees the boar, though, first? And then the boar can't go 160 miles an hour.
I mean, it was a third the size of the boar, right?
Oh, I'd say a tenth or less, because I mean, it was just a bear. It was probably just even if it was a large bear, 500-600 pounds.
Yeah, the boar's got it.
But so if the boar had any higher cognitive function, though, it would be so scared. I think it would be a stalemate.
It would scream.
It just wouldn't even know. Like it would start to charge, and then the thing would scream, and it would like freeze and like drag in place. Like it doesn't know what to do. Like it stops and drag. Like hard stop on the brakes.
I was a bouncer at a bar, and sometimes at these hardcore shows, some fights would break out. But you would have these scrappy 150-pounders, right? That just probably could swing haymakers and windmill at you for you know, because they probably don't know how to fight too well, so it was windmill. But they'll windmill at you for 10 minutes. And if you're a big guy and you just see this maniac tornado,
Tasmanian devil with a fist coming out of it,
exactly, you're gonna kind of just. But I could probably do this, but it's not worth it. Does that make sense?
It's scary because it's unpredictable. You can predict you will win, but the unpredictability of what you're looking at makes it jarring.
So when that boar hears the screaming bear, it's gonna think, because pigs are smart. So it's gonna go, is this worth it? You know what I mean? Like T-Rexes, I'm not reading a T-Rex's mind, but a T-Rex isn't doing a frontal assault on let's say these things, they did exist, obviously, but as we know them. The T-Rex is going to look at the Triceratops and be like, this might break my leg. T-Rex can't think like that, but they're smart. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to do that. So I'm thinking the boar The boar would still destroy the bear, but it would have to think about it.
It would, even if it was a flawless victory, like a Mortal Kombat flawless victory, it would be terrified the whole time that it was killing it. It's like the movie where you kill the demon, like assuming there's a bunch of demons in the movie, but the person keeps stabbing it or punching it like long after it's dead because they're just so terrified. They're just in the moment.
Like a zombie that's all gross attacks you, and you kill it quite easily. You just hit it in the head with a shovel because it's slow. You just run around behind it. Yeah, and then just whack it. I
can't get over the fact that he was trying to flat end the boar with the shovel instead of stab it in its mouth with the shovel blade.
Yeah.
So that fight, okay, and then he's just like punching it in its head, this hard head. That fight reminded me of Jackson versus Chung Lee in Bloodsport.
Yes.
Like, he had the tools to win. He saw the boar up close, so it was no longer super fast. He was in close proximity, which means it lost all of its accuracy. These are rules that this boar seems to abide by, right? And so then he had the shovel. He could have waited for it to charge, brace the shovel, a la Troy, and spear that thing in the throat. He should have won. Instead, he went Jackson, and he turned stupid.
Yeah,
and then Bolo Young crushed him.
You are not – I'm not fist-fighting a boar, John.
I guess I'm not fist-fighting Nathan Jones either, but –
Ooh, that'd be bad. Maybe try to heel hook him.
He even says in the movie, it's like, I can crush skulls with this hand. After he shakes his hand, there's a grating. Okay, all right. There's one more question.
I have to say, though, that's kind of annoying, though, because a 7 foot, 300 tall, 300-pound man shouldn't be intimidating 5'9", spindly, 50-year-old men.
Well, we don't know what those first two marriages were, though, man. Maybe he was cheating on them.
Yeah, that's
true. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe Bernie knew something that we, the audience, didn't know about Bruce. That Bruce didn't even know that Bernie knew because Debbie told him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's nice. He's nice. Oh, yeah, he did this, that, and the other with his ex-wife, but he's nice. No, he's like, maybe he was an alcoholic who beat his wife. I don't know. Like, but now he's in AA and he's found Jesus.
But
we don't know the story.
He was with her for a long time, though, because remember she said we haven't seen him in forever? And then they see him and they're like, whoa, he's huge.
Yeah, I guess. For all I know, though, that was like.
What are the dynamics?
Yeah, it's like, but I say stuff like that about you, though. It's like, oh, shit, like if I haven't seen you for a year, I'm like, yeah, I haven't seen you in forever, man. I got to stop by.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot that we need. There is a rich backstory behind this family that we don't know.
I want the romantic comedy about how they met.
Or Bernie used to be a bank robber, and then he went to jail for 7 years, and he's just got a little extra aggression floating around.
He was one of the most wanted in Australia for a while.
All right. So Johnny Num from Twitter and the Last Knock podcast asks, how would Babe, the pig from the children's movie, how would Babe fare if it crossed paths with the boar? Would he charm him or her, I haven't seen it, with his disarming sincerity, or would things take a much darker turn?
This boar would destroy Babe. Babe's a little sweetheart, but so this boar is not. Okay, so if they exist in the same world, pigs know better. Like, pigs are smart in this world. Animals are smart. So there is a boar running around murdering other boars and humans. So this is not
murdering boars that probably. By the way, those boars that it was murdering
would murder us.
Even if they were piglets, they were going to turn into 300-pound boars.
Yep. And so this boar is not. It's turned. It's gone full. What? Hayden Christensen, Revenge of the Sith, killing the kids. It's gone full.
It does not have the high ground, though.
Yeah. I think Babe would just be like, I think there's good in everyone, and the pig would just swallow him whole.
And so, and Babe is just on a slight decline, and the boar's like, "It's over, Babe. I have the high ground."
Yeah. But what does that matter?
Oh, and then it stomps on Babe's back like it did as a bully to Nathan Jones and applied weight.
Yeah. He would eat Babe. But
I mean, what's this movie rated? There's a question. Did the boar wander into Babe's movie, or did Babe wander into the boar's movie?
well, if this is a G or PG movie, the boar is going to die horribly. Because in Disney movies or the children's films, if you think about Tarzan, the guy's hung and his neck snaps. Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame falls into a fiery pit to represent hell. Scar is murdered by hyenas.
After he murders his brother.
Exactly. So the boar's going to die in the PG-G. And the R-rated, the boar's just going to eat Babe.
It's going to splat Babe.
Yeah.
It's going to stomp on Babe and splat him.
Those movies, they kind of they're like spoof movies. Babe would be out singing and he would just get smushed. And it'd just be a pile of entrails and blood.
I'm in. We're going to have suckling pig next to our giant tomahawk from the boar.
Just smushed. Oh man, I love it. Any other questions?
No, that's all of our listener questions. So, this movie.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share?
Well, you told me something interesting about this movie that I don't think was mentioned during our episode yet, and that was that Chris Sun, the director, kept getting interviewed, or in an interview he identified that he was maybe a little bothered that everyone, including me, by the way, from the time I saw the trailer, I'm just like, oh my God, they remade Razorback. Now I need to go see Razorback. Even though no one ever called it that in the article, they just said, here's the new trailer for Boar. Here's Boar. I just felt like I knew in my head this was a remake of Razorback, and he doesn't like that.
Yeah, so apparently. I have some quotes from him. He's just, Razorback's not the only Killer Pig movie ever made, but being Aussie, people want to compare the two, which is fair. Boar is completely different in every way than Razorback. Razorback is one of my favorite movies of all time. However, Boar is not even remotely the same. It has a completely different storyline and more kills. What people need to remember is I am not trying to compete with Razorback. To be honest, I wouldn't dare. Shark or Croc films are too expensive to make, so I just made this. And then he put, you can't make this is the third interview, you can't make a giant pig movie in Australia without people talking about one of the greats, Razorback. Now that's a great monster movie. And I guess in a small way there was a little RB influence, but to be honest, my inspiration from Boar came from American Werewolf in London and Jaws. However, I do have an awesome cameo from Chris Haywood, Razorback, in Boar, where he sits at the bar and talks about a giant pig terrorizing the outback. So he wanted to, in other interviews, he wanted to copy Jaws with the, we see the what is it, first person from the boar. We get to see the boar, the Boro vision. And then he wanted to have a lot of humor, like an American Werewolf in London, incorporated into this film. So he wanted to make more of that than a Razorback. But it's just funny, though, because every interview he's just like, oh yeah, Razorback, I get it. But every interview he's like, it's not the same. I just thought it was pretty funny hearing all this stuff from him.
Poor guy. I mean, again, now that I've seen the movie, like if I was to say a one sentence premise, the premise is identical if you were to word it appropriately, right? If you were to like a monstrously, inordinately large boar kills people in a remote town in Australia. But that's being super basic. You could turn almost every slasher movie into one premise, right? If I did that. Now, having seen it, there's nothing similar at all. And the plots of both, this one really investigates these families in this community. Razorback was investigating a reporter traveling around the world to find a guy traveling around the world to find his disappeared reporter girlfriend, right? Who died in the outback, and then stumbling across they are very, very different movies, and neither of them take a basic approach to what they're doing, which is interesting as well.
I think that's what makes them both enjoyable. And I sent you a message that you said you had a good laugh to. I sent you a message after watching Razorback. It's a real movie.
Right. No, it's funny too. Like I said earlier, I only watched Razorback and those other Killer Pig movies because this came out, and I always knew Razorback existed, and it was in my infinite queue of things that I really need to watch one day, but that I never get around to. And I felt the same thing. Like when I was watching it, and I usually write a review as I'm watching a movie, the opening credits for Razorback come on, and I'm like, these are some gorgeous shots of the outback.
Yeah.
So I was very shocked at first too, because when someone calls something a cult classic, you usually assume not necessarily some B movie, lower qualityness to it, but you're not assuming you're going to see like a real film, sort of, sometimes.
This probably falls under, it was really good, but underwatched, and now it's built an audience.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure that it was super popular right when it came out in Australia, right?
Yeah. There's so
But
many
yeah,
dolly
like
there's so many dolly shots in this movie and good performances. It's a movie. I liked it.
it's a movie, and again, it's like, well, that movie though, right away, it lets you know it's a real movie, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Boar, again, the first 20 minutes, I was very apprehensive. Like I was excited for 2 years to see this. I'm like, oh no, what's happening? And that might have been what you mentioned about how there would have been, budget wise, there should have been a couple more kills. Maybe those couple more kills would have been the kills that literally happened off screen in the beginning of the movie. The razor wire tangled guy, the people who got knocked over in the car in the very first scene, like maybe would have seen them, and they just weren't done now.
I guess from a production standpoint, I mean, you probably know about this, but this is a super indie Boar, and he only had so much money, and he quickly learned one day with the Boar turned into 3. Right. So he probably had to scrap a lot of things because you can't just add days. He said anytime the Boar was on set, we had to go into overtime. You know, you have grips, electrics, everyone making more money. You also had Teamsters making more money. So whatever the union is out there. So, and then to add more days would just be an extra expense, and which he didn't have. So yeah, I think some parts of the movie had to suffer, but it's nice to know that his ambition is what kind of also hurt him. This movie wasn't hurt because it was crap. This movie was hurt because of ambition. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And the budget was only like just shy of, I think, 1.5 million Australian dollars, which depending on the year, by and large, it's often comparable to the U.S. or a little weaker than the U.S. dollar. So it's not a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, Insidious shot in like 20 days on $1 million budget. So
was Insidious $1 million?
Yeah. So this movie, it probably had a 20-day shooting schedule. But he also flew people in from the United States to be in this film. So I guarantee he also probably had to split up, Bill Moseley and the other. He probably had to kill them off because they were the Americans and they were probably more expensive to hotel and put up. Does that make sense? So
sure, yeah. But you know what? Killing Bill Moseley's character when and how they did was like a Game of Thrones level shock.
Oh, I loved it.
Or like early Walking Dead. Like he's not going to die now. Holy shit, he just died! Like, and horribly.
So I think the budget is kind of ruled everything. But this guy made it's fun. This is a movie you could put on the background and totally enjoy anytime.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it twice in a couple days, and I got to tell you, especially since I was apprehensive in the first 20, 30 minutes when I first saw it. Well, now that I knew what it was, when I saw it again, and now I know how much I like how the Boar looks, so I'm just waiting for it. I actually liked watching it the second time more than the first time.
I think I did too on my rewatch. You just know where it's at, you know the beats. And also reading a lot of the interviews helped me understand, because I like to do that. I like to understand it. So reading the interviews makes me really appreciate it a lot more as well, just kind of knowing what went into it.
Yeah, I will absolutely be buying this. I'm a very physical media oriented person, but even if this was permanently streaming on Netflix, for example, which I'll always have, even if it was permanently streaming, I'm going to buy the Blu-ray of this, not just to support the movie, but because I like to have the movie. So I can't wait. I really, really hope this is successful, or has been successful, because it was released over a year ago in Australia. I want to see Boar 2, or more importantly, I want to see this guy. I want to see Chris Sun do a third movie in the genre with Nathan Jones.
He's doing a ghost movie he wants to do next.
Is Nathan Jones the ghost? Because he's going to be a weird looking ghost.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Like in the Frightener style ghost. But yeah, he wants to do a ghost movie next.
I'm down, man. I mean, I like Charlie's Farm for what it was. That was more deliberately campy, whereas this really wasn't campy. Yeah, I don't think. Maybe momentarily, almost cheekily.
It's more It's more Tremors vibe.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. And so I'd really like to see him make it, do a third movie, whether or not he kept the same tone or not. But I'd be curious to see. Now that I've seen him do Charlie's Farm and this, I'd be curious to see what if he goes just with like some dire, insidious-ish vibe. And Nathan Jones is a bespectacled nerd paranormal researcher.
It's like Tucker Specs. Well, Lee Wannell's from Australia. Bring him in. Bring in Lynn Shay. just because she's awesome. No, wait, Jackie Weaver. She's from Australia. So bring in Jackie Weaver and just have them remake Insidious with those three.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in. Whatever, and I own Charlie's Farm too. So whatever Chris Sun does next, I'm interested in. I did not see that movie you mentioned before. It was something like, I can't remember the name. Don't let the girl something or other. Don't let him get me.
Yeah. Or wait, let me look up Chris. Let me pull up my notes here.
This is either his third or fourth film.
Daddy's Little Girl.
It was that one. Okay. But yeah, it's like, it makes me curious to see that now. Knowing that would have been done probably just 1 to 3 years before Charlie's Farm.
Yep, this one seemed very frustrating for him.
But the result's so satisfying.
Yeah. NC-17.
Whoa, yeah. That Daddy's Little Girl?
Yeah, it's
that's not the kind of movie.
It's a stranger wait, in a time when stranger danger is ever present, a single father learns that it's the one you trust are the scariest.
Oh, I don't know if I want to watch this now. Well, I'll support Chris Sun, maybe.
Yeah, maybe watch the trailer, see if it's worth it.
See the trailer. But yeah, again, I'm excited to see what he does next. This is one of those scenarios, it's funny, sometimes though people fall off the radar. I hope that doesn't happen to him. But again, he's done a few movies now, 2 with Nathan Jones that got a lot of love from the horror community. Like I actually, because I saw another horror movie just right before this podcast. I saw Lake Mungo, which I've been meaning to get around to.
That's good.
And I heard about it on like Horror Movie Podcast or something. And so I'm like, okay, let's go watch that. And I loved it. I looked up that director. That director only ever did Lake Mungo. Yeah. Now, I don't know why. I didn't care to research why. I just knew I couldn't see another movie from them. But that's just a shame that someone did something so interesting and never did another for some reason. Yeah, so Chris Sun, I hope you make 18 more.
Universal picked this up. He's got good backing. He went to Fright Fest in London where there was a great response for the movie. I think this experience helped him learn a lot of, so he had done smaller films, but getting into the practical effects and learning that frustration. I mean, I'm sure he had done that with Charlie's Farm and other movies, but I think he's picking genre movies to kind of refine his skills. And he seems very smart, and his movies are so cheap, and actors like him, he uses the same kind of core actors, that he could probably get actors on the cheap in Australia, get funding, and then sell the distribution rights. I mean, this got an exclusive release on Shudder that a lot of people are going to get eyes on. Universal released it. So, I mean, this guy's got a good upward trajectory. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. Either way, super stoked at whatever he does next.
And Lake Mungo's on Tubi, too. So if you guys want to watch Tubi, it's a good one to watch. So,
yeah, Lake Mungo, though, fair warning. If you're telling yourself, man, they mentioned this great horror movie. It is a horror movie, but go into it thinking you're going to watch unsolved mysteries made into a movie with an R rating with horror components. Like, you can't expect like the Crazy Ghost movie.
Yeah, you're right.
But,
it's not Mama.
Yeah, it's not. There's not one jump scare in the whole movie. There's not really any scare in the whole movie. It's a little eerie. It presents itself literally as a documentary, not a mockumentary, a documentary for real. You don't meet the filmmakers. It's none of that. But yeah, two interesting Australian films. So I really love Boar. And honestly, waiting 2 years and building up a lot of hype, which is generally unfair to do to a movie, I honestly, in the end, feel like it delivered. It exceeded my expectations in many ways. The performances, the congeniality, the writing, the creature effects. Even if the CGI was movie of the week, it still liked what they did with it. So I really love this movie.
So 1 out of 5 tusks, what would you give it?
Like 4, and the 5th is broken off halfway.
I love it.
You got to have a broken tusk on this thing. But really, if you're going in, I mean, it's called Boar. You're not seeing a film. If like some highbrow film, there's nothing high concept here. So if you go in knowing that, I'll call it a 5 tusker. If we're just comparing it in the horror genre in general for entertainment value, I'll give it a 4.5.
Hey, there it is.
I really like this.
Well, this was fun, man. I'm glad we did this.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's up?
I just wanted to say thanks again, Johnny Num. Always very supportive. He and Billy Crash, they gave us a really kind shout out a couple episodes ago in their podcast, The Last Knock on CrashPalace.com. They were talking about an indie film, Piercing. And on Twitter, at Grim Horror with 2 M's, and author John F. Leonard, whose horror work is found on Amazon. They both just share our material. They never ask us for anything. They share everything that we do all the time, engage in some pleasant exchanges as well on Twitter. So they're very kind people in the horror community as well. So thanks so much to them. Thanks to the guys of The Last Knock, Billy Crash and Johnny Numb, and also Dirty D and Zane, the filmmaker out of Pennsylvania, for their listener questions.
Yeah, thank you for all that. And I'd like to thank myself for my great questions.
And your great editing. You've been editing and hosting. You've hosted this pod for the longest time, right?
Yeah.
Now it's been
100 episodes.
2 years? Yeah. Editing.
It's a good skill to have, know how to edit. I'm really happy I actually taught myself how to do all this. It's a good skill to have. So It's fun. And there's going to be some surprises for you, John, coming up. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let it be a surprise, but I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised by one of the guests coming up soon.
A guest coming up.
But I'm not going to tell you who. You're going to be surprised.
Is it Nathan Jones?
Yeah. Hey, our next this is episode 205, 206. But listen to the episode 200 that John and I did. We talked about Soldier, had a lot of fun on that. But all right. I was going to tell you Soldier's coming out. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, if this is the first episode you're listening to, go back a few episodes to episode 200 and listen to us talk about Kurt Russell. And then listen to us talk about Kurt Russell in episodes 160, 175, 150, maybe 100, number 50, and 1 and 2.
There it is. Lots of Kurt Russell. and we're doing Tombstone for 225.
Done. And can I just put in, I know you normally like to do it with voting. When we do 250, can we do the thing?
Yeah, of course.
Sold. Do the thing.
Sold. So we got Tombstone and the thing coming up.
All right.
No one could be disappointed with the thing.
Part of me says everyone's done that, and then the other part of me is not everyone listens to a lot of podcasts like I do. So if someone just happens to listen to ours and then another about prudent investing, they will have never heard a episode on the thing unless they heard ours.
And also that gives me time to find every piece of data on the thing, so we can just.
You're gonna need to go to the Library of Alexandria. There's thousands of pages.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna know so much stuff about the thing. So not only will we just be talking about the thing, we'll be dropping. It'll be a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Hey, so this is Mark Hoffmeyer and John Leavengood for Movies, Films, and Flicks. And we'll see you next week.